another episode of Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so preseason is over. All right. The real season starts in a couple of days. I cannot wait for it. Um, I already told you all how I feel about the Micah Parsons situation. I'm not paying attention to that. I just want it resolved. Okay. So I saw that DeMar Harkis Lawrence actually defended Jerry Jones. Okay. I saw where he defended Jerry Jones. The initial 53-man roster has come out. Okay. And Deuce Vaughn was let go, along with C.J. Goodwin, Tyrus Wheat, and so those are the few players I saw who got released. Now that is the initial 53-man roster. Okay, now some names, some moves still have to be made. Okay. Some moves still have to be made, so you may see some players actually re-signed to the roster. So there's still plenty of roster moves to be made. So yeah, Dak is healthy. I'm excited to see CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, what they can do. I am very, very excited that Trayvon Diggs is back off the physically unable to perform list. And he worked his way back pretty quick. He worked his way back pretty quick. So I am very excited to see what the cornerback combination of Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs can do. I'm looking forward to that. And I believe A.J. Brown is going to miss the first couple of games of the season with a hamstring issue, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's going to miss the first 4 games of the season because of a hamstring issue. So to be honest, I don't quite know what that means for our defense. Okay, I don't know what it means for our defense. A lot of Cowboy fans are really confident that we're going to blow the Eagles out. I do think we're going to win the game, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. If it is a blowout, I'll be a little bit surprised, given how good Philadelphia is. But Cowboy fans are predicting a blowout. Again, I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win, but I'm not sure that is quite sure that it's going to be a blowout. Okay, because they are defending world champions. Okay, so there's that. All right, so I watched the Gambler, America's Team on Netflix, and man, it was good. I loved it. I loved it. There were some things in there, like I said, things that we knew, but there are some things that we did not know. Let's see. They showed the footage of Jimmy Johnson telling a player who had asthma to get his on the asthma field. Okay. Yeah, and so they showed that footage, and yeah, uh, we went 1 and 15 in '89. Um, then things got better when we drafted Emmitt Smith. Um, Something that I noticed, they had Irvin, Novacek, AIkman, and they finished dead last in offense in 1990. Okay, and I remember Emmitt Smith saying um, a few years ago that the Cowboys didn't have as much confidence in me running the ball as they should have. Okay, I know he didn't want to say it, but what he meant was David Shula, the offensive coordinator, didn't have confidence in Emmitt Smith running the ball, and Troy Aikman didn't like the offense that Shula was running. Okay, so translation: David Shula didn't have as much confidence in Emmitt Smith running the football, and believe it or not, Cowboy players went to Jimmy Johnson and said, "We don't like this. We don't like what David Shula is doing." Okay, so yeah. So they finished 7-9 in 1990. I liked it. What I liked about it is I wondered if the documentary is going to show any was going to feature any music, and it did. With Emmitt Smith, when they showed the footage of Emmitt Smith getting drafted, that draft day outfit he wore. Michael Irvin said this years ago, and I remember him coming in with the MC Hammer tight pants, and I remember thinking, where do we get this guy? Okay. Um, but yeah, when they showed Emmitt Smith walking in, they played Rex in effect. All I want to do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your rump. Okay. So we improved to 11-5 in 1991. Of course, there was a storyline where people were actually thinking that Steve Berline was a better option than Troy Aikman, which was blasphemous. Okay, Steve Berline was backup for a reason. Okay, and Troy had believed that his knee had healed and he was ready to play. Um, but he got the crap kicked out of him in that in that Detroit Lions game. Man, he got the crap kicked out of him, and Troy said, "I've had enough of this. It's over." Okay, and then he and Jimmy Johnson mended fences, and that's where the dynasty began. One thing that I saw, um, I never knew that. Troy Aikman and Jimmy Johnson liked watching fish. Okay, if you remember in the documentary, um, um, Jimmy Johnson said that just watching the fish, having a fish tank, watching the fish, that was a release for him. And if you saw the documentary, he said Troy said Jimmy and him would crack open a few beers and just watch the fish. Okay. And Jimmy Johnson said it was a release for him. Troy Aikman obviously liked it because it was something about watching fish that is just so peaceful. Okay. Um, I saw slight similarities um, to the last dance. Slight similarities. Okay. Um, when I say slight similarities, I'm talking about when they showed the 1992 NFC Championship game. Okay, then it fast forward back. Then it went back to 1965, Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson. Then it would fast forward back to 1992. Then it would fast forward back to 1961, Harry Jones. Then it would fast forward back to the 1992 NFC Championship game. That's something that I liked about the documentary. Okay. That's where I say the slight similarities to the Last Dance comes in because if you remember the Last Dance, they would show some footage from 1998, then they would fast forward, then they would go back to 1991. Okay, and so I thought that was what well done. Um, and y'all remember when in the documentary when they showed Troy Aikman, um, when Troy Aikman said he didn't remember anything about the '93 NFC Championship game. Okay, then Aikman said he went back and watched the footage and he played pretty well. I thought the music that they used to show him playing well was a bit odd. They played Ace to the bass. I saw the sign. I saw the signs. It opened up my eyes. I saw the signs. I thought that was a little bit odd to play. I thought that was a little bit odd choice of music to put behind Troy Aikman playing well in the 1993 NFC Championship game. I just thought that was a little bit odd. Okay, I just thought it was a little bit odd. Then, of course, they showed the Buffalo Bills, and you want to know what the Bills were nicknamed after they lost to Dallas in the 1992 Super Bowl? The Bills moniker became BILLS. Bills. Boy, I love losing Super Bowls. That was the Bills moniker. Boy, I love losing Super Bowls. Okay. That was the reputation that the Buffalo Bills had. Okay. And it didn't get any better because um they lost 30 to 13. Okay. Some people saying it was the blowout. That wasn't. Okay. Because Buffalo was up 13-6 at halftime. But then Leon Lett forced a fumble. James Washington picks it up. Brand new ball all game, and the Buffalo Bills pretty much said, here we go. Oh, again, it's over. Okay. And obviously the 1994 season where Jimmy Johnson said the thing that hurt him more was when Jerry said 500 coaches can't coach his team. Okay. That's what hurt Jimmy Johnson more than anything else. And I just thought it was weird that the documentary showed a colonoscopy of Barry Switzer just had that procedure done. Okay, ooh, excuse me. Barry Switzer just had that procedure done, and they showed that in the documentary. I was like, I had to cover my eyes on that one. I had to go like for a second, right? And so Barry Switzer, Troy Aikman talked about Barry Switzer at Oklahoma State. He said Barry Switzer at Oklahoma State was just like Jimmy Johnson. He was in charge of everything, and he was on top of everything. And there was a good cop, bad cop dynamic. Jimmy was the bad cop. Troy Aikman was the good cop. And Troy Aikman said whenever Jimmy would say something to a player, Troy Aikman would be like, hey, don't listen to him. But Troy Aikman also said deep down inside, he agreed with everything that Jimmy was saying. Okay. And so I think it was Emmitt Smith who said, Barry had the philosophy. You're professionals. If you're not going to give me 100% on the practice field, don't practice. Okay. And as long as you're ready on game day. Okay. So that probably worked for guys like Michael Irvin, who was not a slacker by any means. Okay, that worked for some guys. Okay, but other guys on that team, they needed Jimmy Johnson to stay on their ass, and Barry Switzer was hands off. Unlike Jimmy Johnson, who was on top of it, everything. Okay, and the '94 first season came. I remember the music they put behind that. Um, the first game of the season when they played the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. Um, um, two Prin- two Princes is the name of the song, which is by the way one of my favorite songs to listen to. Yeah, so but I knew there was more behind the Eric Williams situation. Okay, and we got the full story on that. James Washington was saying in the documentary, hey, because they had been in drinking. Okay, they were drinking, and James Washington said in the documentary, hey, Eric, you need to ride home with me. Okay, ride home with me. And James Washington said, but Eric didn't do that. Okay, and just to hear Eric Williams and other Cowboy teammates describe how badly Eric was injured. Okay, and there was actually legitimate concern among the Cowboy players when Eric Williams left. Okay, there was actually genuine concern for him when he left the club. Okay, and so just hearing how they described that situation, um, man, makes it, yeah, makes it even more makes it even more heart wrenching. Um, yeah. Um, according to what I according to what I read in Boys Will Be Boys, Kenny Gant was the first one to see Eric Williams Eric Williams car wreck. Okay, then other teammates came. Um, then other teammates came. Okay, um, that's what I read in Boys Will Be Boys by J.F. Perlman. Okay, but and Eric Williams admitted it. He said um, Eric Williams believes um, if he had been there that full season, he believes that the Cowboys would have gone on and three three-peated without Jimmy Johnson. Okay, and so man, the teams in NFL history that came painfully close: the San Francisco 49ers in 1990, the 1994 Dallas Cowboys, and we just saw the Kansas City Chiefs. They came painfully close to three EP, but it's hard as hell. It is hard as hell. And Michael Irvin described how the relationship between Switzer and AIkman was tearing the locker room apart. Okay, it was tearing the locker room apart. It was tearing the team apart. It was probably tearing the fan base apart. Okay, and so I know y'all saw the segment where Troy Aikman was accused of being a racist. Okay, which I did not buy for 1 second. Um, and that's Troy Aikman's job. Um, and if you remember in the documentary, Barry Switzer said, Hey Troy, I think you should go apologize to I think you should go apologize to Kevin Williams. Nah. Charles Haley tells a story about how he got into it with I believe Kevin O'Neill, one of the athletic trainers, and how Charles got into his car and went home. Barry Switzer went to his home and he got on to Charles Haley, and I remember Charles Haley telling the story. He said Barry Switzer would take you what he called a man walk. Okay, Charles Haley said Barry Switzer will curse you out for about 5 minutes. Just curse you out for about 5 minutes, okay? And then he would say, "Okay, I want you to just go back. I want you to go back in the huddle and act like I told a joke, okay?" So, um, um, I know the players love Barry Switzer as a coach, and they loved him as a person because it was probably put best by Darren Woodson. He said he doesn't want to know how you're doing in football. He wants to know how you're doing outside of football because he would ask Darren Woodson about his wife and kids. Okay, so um, oh yeah, I think uh, the most emotional part of the documentary was when they were describing the Everett McIver situation. Okay, and and Michael Irvin talked about his cocaine charge and said that I believe his DA called him a piece of shh. And so yeah, we got the whole story behind that. Um, but I would say the Everett McIver situation is probably the most heart-wrenching, tear-jerking moment of the documentary. Um, Irvin grabbed a pair of scissors and yeah, he cut Everett McIver. Um, and Irvin, who was already on probation, right, for the cocaine charge, when the judge pulled the players who were there, who witnessed the incident, um, when they pulled the players into a meeting, the judge remember saying, nobody spoke, nobody said a word, nobody talked, right? And so Irvin said, if Everett McIver didn't handle it the way he did, Michael Irvin would have been in jail. Yeah. Turns out the Cowboys covered it up, right? Um, yeah. So if you remember, Michael Irvin said he sat down with Everett. He said, "Hey, Everett, man, I'm sorry, I lost it there. Um, I lost it there." And then Everett McIver said, "Hey, Michael, I know you love your kids, but you almost took me away from mine." Ooh, that hit hard. That hit hard. That hit hard for Michael Irvin, and that probably hit hard for us who watched the documentary. Like, wow, wow. And so I thought it was pretty darn good. I'm probably going to watch it again. I'm probably going to watch it again because I can't tell you the number of times that I've watched The Last Dance several times. But yeah, I'm probably going to watch the documentary again. Um, but it was pretty good. It was Funny, heart-wrenching, sad. But I remember they asked Jerry Jones in the last episode, the 8th episode. He said, Jerry Jones is like, hey, you get all this criticism, or Mount Avalanche criticism? And Jerry Jones said, I like the pain. I like the pain. That's what Jerry Jones said. I like the pain. And I wonder, what does he mean when he says, I like the pain? What does he mean when he says, I like the pain? Okay. So I'm still trying to figure that out, what he means when I say, I like the pain. I guess he means when he says, I like the pain, I'm just guessing on this one. He says, I can take criticism. I can take criticism. I can take the pain of criticism. I don't care. I think that's what he was saying. Maybe y'all out there have a different take on what he was saying when he said, I like the pain, but yeah. All right, that's it, and that's all for Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk. I am out of here. Peace out. May God bless you all. How about them Cowboys?
Who?
Cowboys.
What's my blue and gray team?
Cowboys.
And who I'm rolling with, huh?
My Cowboys.
Steelers better get it right. Giants better get it right. Who?
Cowboys.
What's my blue and gray team?
Cowboys.
And who I'm rolling with, huh?
My Cowboys.
Eagles better get it right. Skins better get it right.